Hey everyone, it's Ren, and welcome back to Tab Overload. Today's episode feels really important to me. There is a lot that's happening across the country, and that's weighing on people, specifically in our city in Chicago, and especially within our immigrant and BIPOC communities. And I wanted to use this space to talk about what that means for our mental health and how we can stay grounded when the world feels heavy. I know a lot of people are afraid to have these conversations, but the purpose of me creating this platform is to build a community where people can feel safe and supported. And I always want people to know where I stand with certain issues. Today, I'm joined by Stephanie Hernandez, a proud Latina psychotherapist and founder of the Chicago Therapy Nook. Stephanie's work is deeply rooted in healing and empowerment for Latinx and BIPOC communities. Her journey into mental health started long before she earned her degree. It began with her own experiences and passion for breaking down barriers to care. She's a licensed clinical professional counselor who focuses on culturally responsive therapy and decolonizing traditional mental health practices through healing and psychoeducation. Beyond her practice, she does mentor students, stays grounded through movement and creativity, and reminds us that healing really isn't just about therapy. It's about joy, balance, and my favorite, community. In this conversation, we talk about what's been happening in Chicago, from the ICE raids to the National Guard's presence, and the emotional and psychological impact that comes with it. We also explore how to take care of ourselves and support those who are directly affected. This episode is really an invitation to pause and feel and remember that your reactions to abnormal situations are completely valid. I'm so grateful to have Stephanie here for this one. I think you'll walk away feeling informed and a little bit more grounded. Without further ado, let's get into the conversation. Hi, Stephanie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I hope you can't hear my background. It's the marathon outside right now, and everyone's like screaming and shouting on my street.
No, you're fine. That's right. I totally forgot it was today. No, I can't hear anything, so you're good.
Okay, amazing. All right. So can we start by like just sharing like your background and the work that you do in the mental health space?
Sure, sure. My path into therapy started with my own healing. So there was a time when I didn't know how to name what I was feeling or even what I needed. So I grew up learning how to stay strong or be the strong one or you're the strongest person I know. And when I sought therapy for myself, I realized how powerful it was to be able to express myself and have the language for emotions and advocate for myself. And that's what kind of led me to my career. So currently, I'm a psychotherapist and founder of Chicago Therapy Nook. I primarily work with Latina and BIPOC communities to teach individuals how to navigate stress, trauma, family dynamics and learn how to identify what they're feeling and just kind of grow and heal from that.
Amazing. And that's exactly like why I wanted you on here because I know like I like from what I saw, you've doing so much great work and like you have experience, like as you grew up, like you said, like trying to figure out things yourself. So I feel like whenever I'm looking for someone, like personally as a therapist, I
Yeah.
want someone who's also kind of like had maybe like a similar path or like kind of know exactly what I'm saying and can relate in a way.
No, definitely. It is it's there's so much more connection with being authentic and finding someone
Mhm.
who feels like represents you too. So, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And so, um, because we're both located in Chicago, there's a lot going on right now with like Chicago being targeted. We have a National Guard troops that have been sent to Chicago. We've had ICE
Mhm.
in the city for quite some time now. And I am located downtown, and I've even seen like the troops, by the river and like everywhere. And people are really
Yeah.
uneasy about it. And I know that they are kind of like spread out everywhere right now. So no one feels safe anywhere because you don't really know where they are exactly. Um,
Yep.
and so how have like these recent events, like the activity in Chicago or even other community stressors that might be happening, been affecting people's mental health from what you've seen so far?
Oof, oof. It's so there's so much to that right now because there
Hmm.
is a collective stress and
Yeah.
anxiety that's happening, especially, as we're continuing to experience ongoing trauma or instability with the raids, the political unrest, the racial
Hmm.
injustice. And with everything happening, your nervous system is going to feel the weight of collective fear.
Exactly.
hmm
Hmm.
hmm So as humans, we're wired for connection, right? So when our communities feel unsafe, our nervous system reacts as though we are unsafe. And so we're going to be in states of hypervigilance. Our fight or flight is going to go off. Our cortisol levels are going to increase, and it's just going to be these extra layers of fear with what can I do? How can I predict what's going on around me?
Exactly.
All of it.
Hmm. And I feel like so many people, it's like a mix of fear, anger, and also helplessness when these like tensions rise, even if you aren't experiencing it directly. So for those who are maybe not necessarily directly impacted, but they consider themselves like an ally, what are some healthy ways to process those emotions instead of internalizing them?
Okay. So to that, it's so hard because like to the conversation, we want to have an awareness
Hmm.
because there's so many big emotions happening right now. What we don't want is to assimilate to normalizing this harm.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So getting used to injustice isn't resilience, it's survival mode. It's what happens when the body starts confusing silence with safety. And so healing invites awareness and recognizing that, wait a minute, what I'm feeling is normal to these abnormal events.
Yeah.
And so giving ourselves permission to allow ourselves to feel whether it's sadness or rage or anger or grief or even fear.
Hmm.
So there is power in acknowledging what's in our bodies. As far as like, are you looking for recommendations for grounding tools?
Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay. So when the world feels chaotic, grounding isn't about pretending that everything's okay. It's about coming back into your home and your body and reminding yourself that I am here, I am present, I can take a breath. So, like I said, naming your emotions is one of the most powerful things to do because you're acknowledging that the emotion is present in your body. So, naming
Mhm.
what's inside helps the brain organize chaos. I highly recommend connection with community. You know, community is so powerful because it is very validating to be with people who you feel not only emotionally safe with, but understand your experience and say, yes, okay, I'm not crazy for feeling this way. This is,
Exactly.
this is, I'm having a legit reaction to what's abnormal.
Hmm.
Movement. I recommend finding movement in a way that feels good for you, whether
Yeah.
it's shaking your body, stretching, walking. Movement says, I'm alive, I have agency of my body. There's also grounding through your senses, using nature as a regulation. There's temperature resets too, between hot and cold, grabbing an ice cube, putting the ice cube in your hand to kind of bring awareness back into your body.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think community is so powerful, like you are saying. Like, I completely agree with all of that. And something that's come up a lot, in my opinion, that has kind of struck up over the last year, I'll say, with the election last year and then the switch of the president in January. What boundaries or communication tools can help you stay grounded when political differences come up in your personal relationships? Because I feel like for me and also a lot of people I know, it's a situation where you see what's happening and we have our strong feelings, and then you see
Mhm.
other people that you may have been friends with for so long, or that you have to work with, and they have these differences of opinions, and that can create anxiety in itself too. And you can almost feel like suffocated. But you what are like, do you push them away, or like do you not like what are the boundaries or what are the like things that can help people think that through?
Mm, mm. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, especially with holidays coming. It's
Yeah,
going to make conversations even
yeah.
harder. So what I've seen as far as trends is, you know, understanding that yes, they're family and they're friends, but if you want to have them in your life, kind of having the conversation of politics off the table,
Yeah.
especially if it's a very complicated dynamic. Um, Other things that I have seen are people really just evaluating friendships, evaluating or even just family dynamics, whether or not does this person really just have the same values and moral codes that I do?
Yeah.
Part of boundaries is protecting your peace and being able to communicate what you have the capacity for and what you no longer have the capacity for. So really understanding your spatial awareness with is this too much right now, or do I need actually time to step away because it doesn't look like this person is going to change their mind regarding this
Exactly.
subject? Hmm.
Exactly. And I know for me personally, it comes down to like really like when people say, "Oh, maybe you just don't have those political conversations." And that still makes me uneasy because then I'm
Hmm.
like, wait a second here. This is just seeming like a complete disconnect because at a certain point, it's not politics. We're talking human rights. And so then it's like for friends, that's so much easier to be like, okay, I just won't be their friend anymore. But then when the holidays come up and you're around family who have these strong
Hmm.
beliefs, that's so for me, like it's anxiety provoking, it's stressful. And I think like we know we're going to be in a situation, there's kind of no way around it. And we feel so
Yeah.
strongly for it. When you're in the moment with these people, I guess it's like, should we be taking breathing techniques in the moment? Or like if you're just kind of stuck, what options do we have?
Okay. So if you're stuck in an environment with your family and it's just these heavy conversations, you really do want to give yourself permission to check in with yourself, even if it's internally. And if
Yeah.
you know your capacity and what's your alarm, do you need to just say, hey, I'll be right back and go for a 5-10 minute walk around the block or go to a store and then come back? The thing is, it's complicated because with family dynamics, there's also pressure to still be there and spend quality
Yeah. And
time
be
with them
engaged. Yeah.
and be engaged. So if you have to take breaks, if if you have a partner or a friend, is there a code word that you guys need to create
Oh,
together to be like,
yes.
I need 10 to 15 minutes to kind of emotionally regulate myself again and ground myself. And grounding yourself can be so simple and easy as, like I said, temperature change. Chicago's about to get cold. Do a little quick 10-minute walk outside, do some breath work, whether it's inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. And you really
Yeah.
want to feel your belly expand, but giving yourself permission to really just know your capacity and know when it's time to take a step back because you have to come back
Hmm.
is really like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Taking breaks, I love that tip. It's so good because I feel like a lot of the time you just internalize it and you're just like there and you just stay because you're like, well, we're at Thanksgiving. What am I gonna do? Walk out. But just knowing it actually is okay if you do get up and you just take a break. And also having code words with people around you, I think that's really useful because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be someone there on your side and you won't be alone. Another thing is
Mhm.
that I feel like for myself, if I'm in need of a break, something that I will do is like scroll on my phone. And so that segues me into like
Mm.
digital boundaries in the media intake. Like I think social media can be a lifeline and a trigger. So what's your perspective on like people staying informed without becoming overwhelmed because it's like, hey, I'm gonna go take a break from these people, scrolls on my phone, and then just see something else that aggravates me.
Oh, it's so hard too because social media is so accessible now and
Yeah.
the way that these, apps are created is to keep us on our phones, to keep us safe.
Hmm.
And yes, we're thinking, oh, it's just 30 minutes, but every time you see a 10-second, 15-second video of TikTok, you're getting a little dopamine hit. So then an hour
Yeah.
passes by. It's really important to have a, yes, you want to stay informed with what's going on, but constant exposure to distressing news can re-traumatize the nervous system because it's still sensory input that you're putting into your brain. So
Yeah.
what's the line between awareness for you and overwhelm? And that's making sure that you choose your input intentionally. Limit how many times you check your news. Do you need to put alarms on your phone? Do you need to put, like, I can only see, so Instagram for 30 minutes, I can only see TikTok for 30 minutes, and
Hmm.
that's enough. Diversify your feed. It's so easy to get stuck in the negative, 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 but what are some good things that are happening in our community despite
Yeah.
the social injustice? How are people helping each other? How are people reaching out? What are the good, because we want to be mindful about all the information we're intaking. Mute or unfollow triggering
Hmm.
accounts. You
Yep.
don't know anyone, constant exposure to pain. And, you know, sometimes replace doom scrolling with grounding. For every 10 minutes of news, take 10 minutes offline, stretch,
Hmm.
journal, go make tea. Because it's a,
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how like happy I was this morning when I got on TikTok and my entire For You page was all Chicago Marathon because I've like been on and I've been like, oh, seeing like all these like raids and like seeing protests. I remember last week I like unfortunately one of the first things I do is check my phone in the morning. So
Right.
I get on my phone right away and Instagram was what I got on, and I saw that there was like a protest in Chicago like Thursday night or something. So I'm like,
Mm,
oh, okay, good for Chicago. Let me like that. I scroll down, and now it's feeding me that constantly over and
mhm.
over again, and it's a loop that I can't get out of.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, right, you like one video and it's gonna match that and continue to feed your algorithm that. So it's so important to be mindful about what you're watching. Yes, have awareness,
Mhm.
but give your brain a break.
Yeah. And I think another thing that I also battle with, and I want to hear your perspective on this, is like you say, mute people and like mute these certain accounts and stuff. But having the awareness that that's a privilege, and then that kind of brings up guilt because it's like, oh, we can silence this. We can shut our phone off and what, go on a walk and everything be okay.
Mm,
But then some people literally can't do that. And I know
mhm.
I battle with this too. It's like feeling so bad about it. Like, yeah, maybe I can skip this video that's making me uncomfortable. But what about the person who's actually in that video? Or, like that stresses me out too.
Right. How do we make space for taking care of ourselves when we know that there
Mhm.
is distressing events happening outside our door?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like an overwhelming amount of guilt that you can't feel. And I think, like, in my opinion, and I like to hear yours too, is like, to me, when I do get to that point, I think that is a sign that I've like crossed the line on how much news or social media that I am consuming.
Mm, mm. No, no, that makes sense. I'm guilty of it too. I'm human. I'm guilty of it too because it's like I said, what's happening now is abnormal. So it is completely normal to feel all these big uncomfortable emotions in our body. And
Hmm.
guilt can easily be one of them because you can be sitting in your living room having coffee, seeing someone being taken away,
Yeah.
and then here you are in your living room having coffee.
Yeah. It's like alternate reality, you know?
Yes, yes, the parallels, but this is where, you have to, for you personally, or even anyone, like you have to find empowerment in giving back to community in a way that feels good to you. What are some, yes, you're going to be scrolling on social media, but what are some resources that you can share that's happening in your neighborhood? What are
Hmm.
community meetups and all of that?
Exactly, exactly. And that leads me to then wonder, for those who are impacted, I feel like we've shared a lot of like grounding tips on like how to kind of like make yourself a little bit better. But what about like for allies, like for those who aren't necessarily directly impacted, but we know someone who is, and it's so hard in that moment to kind of be like, what do I say? Like how can I help my friend or my family member get through this without like, yes, I'm taking care of myself, but like, what can I say to them in these moments?
Sometimes being present with someone, it's so hard because naturally we want to be like, how can I fix you? How can I save you? But there's so
Yeah.
much unpredictability happening right now that sitting with a friend, sitting with a family member, and allowing yourself to hold space for them and either vent or just say, I see you, I'm here with you.
Hmm.
What's happening is not okay,
Yeah.
can be just as powerful.
Exactly. I love that. That is the best information, like the best advice you can give because I what's up with everyone trying to fix everything all the time, you know? Like maybe we should just be quiet and just sit.
It's hard because we can't predict what's going to happen on a day to day, but don't ever underestimate your ability to hold space with someone and just allow yourself to be present
Hmm.
for another human being. And that's also connection. That's also vulnerability. So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, I wanted to talk to you because you're good at it. You do this. And so, but other people who don't do that, they're kind of like, they want to fix it right away. And so that makes me wonder too, how do you support yourself when you have to support those, who are struggling? That's a lot for you to take in too, or like other people in your field too.
mm,
Like, what's the advice there for them? Because they are human too.
hmm. So something I do for myself, and like I also tell my clients, is you really have to have non-negotiables for yourself when it comes to taking care of yourself and
Hmm.
self-care. And so for me, taking care of my mind means taking care of my body and my spirit. So I make sure to work out in the mornings. I go on walks.
Hmm.
I journal. At nighttime, I try to stay away from the news and I read. I also see a therapist because there's so much happening that, I need to check in with myself too.
Yeah,
And just also giving myself permission to have time with family and friends and still find joy and allow myself permission to feel joy while also recognizing that something distressing can also be happening at the same time.
exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think like a lot of times when things like this are happening, it's kind of hard to realize this isn't the entire world. Like this isn't the entire focus of the world right now. It feels like it is, but it's also kind of I guess like what I'm thinking is like sometimes say like separating it from all of the unrest and political
Hmm.
conversation. If I'm at
Hmm.
work and there's something small that happens and I'm like, oh, this feels like it's my entire personality right now, it's entire thing that I can't kind of separate from. But knowing that you can separate yourself from this news, from this chaos, and do something for yourself, have some
Hmm.
self-care, whether that's
Hmm.
just like whatever you like to do. If you like to sit on the couch and watch TV, do that. If you want to take a bath, if you want to go for a walk, like you said, you work out every day and building the discipline that you need to kind of keep that structure for yourself.
Hmm. Hmm. And the hard thing is your non-negotiables for self-care. Like I encourage everyone to find something for their mind, their body, and spirit that's going to feel good for them. On the hard days, those
Yeah.
have to be implemented even more because
Yeah.
you know, self-care is not to go into like decolonizing self-care, whether it's like movement or grounding and all of that. It's those are acts of love towards yourself. So how can
Yeah,
you show up with love for you today? What can you do for you that's going to fill you up with love? What's an act of love?
exactly. And I think another thing is like, even when people think self-care, they're like, oh, I have to go do this. I have to go to yoga. I have to, make meal prep or whatever, like all these ideas. But I think self-care can also be like, hey, I don't feel good today. I'm gonna allow myself to relax and not do anything.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
our bodies are not designed to be in constant productivity. We're supposed to give ourselves permission to rest. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Have you seen any examples of like community resilience that give you hope right now?
um, yeah, so I live in the Avondale area, and
Hmm.
recently there was raids by us last
Oh,
week.
yeah, you're like kind of right next to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Belmont Blue Line, but and then I have a bunch of neighboring schools, but really seeing is I'm hearing the whistles, I'm hearing people honking, I'm seeing flyers,
Wow.
um, schools coming together, teachers talking how to share resources, all of that. So to me, I'm like, yes, people are recognizing that this isn't okay and people are coming together. And so that also inspires hope of, okay, well, what can I do to also give back? What resources can I share?
And I feel like that's exactly what we're also doing now is building that community resilience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Wow. I just, it's all so mind blowing to me. And this is like so much good information that I'm like taking in. I know people are going to listen and be like, yeah, they can relate because it's like, I feel like we're hitting all the different angles of like the people directly impacted and those allies who are there to support them. And then also even the people who necessarily don't agree with how we are feeling in our perspectives, how we handle those people, which is so
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. No, it is, yeah.
Yeah. And so for, I guess, I want to hear like, if people need to hear, like, if they're like, you guys are just talking a bunch about boundaries and like we should have more boundaries and stuff. What are some examples of that? Specifically, I guess we can start with social media because I feel like that's so common for everyone. And like how we kind of like said, we get on and it's feeding it to us literally. And then when we get off, we feel bad. Like, what are boundaries that people can set? Like, what are some examples that they can do?
So for boundaries, I know it's hard because first thing in the morning, people, the alarm goes off on your phone, you grab your phone.
Hmm.
I don't recommend starting your day off on your phone. And I know it's very easy, but the reality is that you're waking up from sleeping and then you're exposing yourself to distress.
Yeah.
We already have fear in our bodies. We're feeding more of into it. And then, Chicago, everyone's rushing to start their day to get to work. And so then
Hmm.
it's like bam, 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 bam. Give yourself 10 to 15 minutes, have a morning routine. Make it a period of you slowing down. Before bedtime, don't grab the phone.
Yeah.
After 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, put it on Do Not Disturb. Do something that's going to cause you to slow down, read a book, crossword puzzles, anything. Set limitations on how much social media you are consuming. Be mindful about the information that you are consuming because,
Yeah.
like I said, the brain needs a break.
I love that. And oh, I need to take this because the first thing I do is scroll on my phone. It's so bad. It's taking you completely out of the present moment when your body was just in this deep,
Mhm.
sleep at a
Mhm.
peaceful state, and then you rush directly into like something. It's not even the present moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, we have to do better. Um, even like I love the tip you gave about at night. That's another thing is it feels like the last thing I do is look at my phone. I put it away and then I close my eyes. That's not normal. I think that we've normalized so much. And I think another tip for people and for
Mhm.
myself is like everything's on our phone. Like you said, our alarm clock goes off on our phone. Maybe we should take it back old school and get an alarm clock so we don't have to
Oh my
get our
gosh.
phone
Yes.
right away.
Those old school ones, those brown ones that all the parents in the 90s used to have. But yeah, no, like I encourage finding ways to slow down and start your morning in a way that brings you back to the present, your mind into your body, so that you are not starting the day in a period of distress, nor are you ending your day in a period of
Yeah,
distress.
exactly. I love that. And so examples of boundaries within like communities or like relationships where you aren't going to agree with some people too. What examples do you have of like boundaries that we could have for ourselves there? I know you like mentioned like taking breaks. I guess, that's a boundary you can have for yourself too.
Right. So if, for example, a conversation were to get heated with a family member or friend regarding a topic,
Hmm.
and you're recognizing that, you're hitting your capacity and your limit, you do want to communicate that, well, maybe this is not something that we should be talking about, or maybe this conversation. So saying something like, okay, it sounds like clearly we are not on the same agreement when it comes to social injustice or our political views. I think it would be best for the both of us if we ended this conversation,
Yeah.
as it's not benefiting us, and it really just, and so knowing how to express, well, what's your limit, what's your capacity, always starting off with I, of course, so that these boundaries are for you. Are you looking for how to like verbalize or something
Oh
specific?
my gosh. Yeah, that would actually be great because I know even for myself and for other people, it's sometimes when you're so heated and you're so anxious, it's
Mm,
really hard to express yourself.
hmm hmm Like the knot in the throat kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's hard because that comes from, not being in a space where we're allowed to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So is it, having to, I think it would be best if I walk away,
Hmm.
I understand that this is what you believe in, but I choose to believe differently, regardless
Yeah.
if you agree or not.
Hmm.
I believe in this, this, and this. These are my values. If you don't like it, if you're not in agreement, that's okay. This is what I believe in. And so
Exactly.
boundaries really are about expressing yourself, your capacities, your limitations, and just, communicating them.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think that that's so important. And I think another thing is like what you said is like, I need to take a step away. I think like when we're having conversations that put us like in an uncomfortable space, you can disagree about the topic, but you don't have to disagree about what you need. And if you need to step away, that is okay to communicate that. And I don't think that anyone can argue with you on that. And you should never feel bad about that.
Hmm hmm
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
it's completely okay. Or if you feel like you need to change the subject because it's not going to go anywhere with a family member or a friend, and you still have
Mhm.
to maintain that relationship, then it's you know what, I understand that we believe in different things. However, maybe this is a subject that we shouldn't bring up when we're together, as it really spills over into our relationship or family. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really powerful for family dynamics or personal relationships because, in my opinion, and feel free to share your perspective, I think like a lot of people are like, oh, when they have to go in their office and work and next to people that they know they have these differences with. Well, that's easier because you're working. You don't have to talk to them about anything else. But then when you're
hmm
with friends or family in those relationships, you talk about everything. So
Right,
it's like
right.
harder to separate it.
Right. So then, what are the rules that you need to set for yourself when it comes to
Hmm.
friends or family members if there are difference in beliefs?
Yeah,
What are the rules that you need to set for yourself that are going to allow you to be present with them, where you're not, leaving feeling defeated?
exactly, exactly. Um, this is amazing. And so I want to take a maybe a step back and just ask you, like, for anyone listening, what's one thing for listeners that are listening you want them to remember from this conversation? What do you hope that they like latch onto and do remember and take away?
That I want them to know that how they're feeling is a normal reaction to abnormal events, and that as human beings, we are allowed to experience more than one emotion at once. And guilt is so easily to come by if we find moments of joy, but allow yourself to feel joy while holding space for other emotions as well.
I love that. I love that. Stephanie, thank you so much. Can you please share where people can find your work and connect with you, any resources that you have to offer?
Yes, so I actually have a website. It's called www.chicagotherapynook.com. I actually also just created a community resource guideline with attorney information, DACA information, know your rights information, family planning for emergency, what happens if someone is detained, and it's in English as well as Spanish.
Amazing.
On my website, there's also, I don't know about you, but I love free stuff. So I also have, it's called the Nook. It's a Nook tab, and I have a bunch of videos up there for mindfulness resources, for groundwork, breathing exercises, meditations, progressive muscle relaxation that's available to anyone. So please feel free for anyone to use it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and I know a lot of people will appreciate this.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate this so much.
Once again, I do want to give a major thanks for Stephanie to coming on this platform and sharing her advice. It was very helpful, very informative, and I'm sure that other people have gotten things out of it just as much as I did. Stephanie, I appreciate you so much. Tab Overload always welcomes you for these conversations. Feel free to leave comments below. Please do go follow Stephanie and look into her resources. And with that being said, I'll see you next week.